first thing that we need to do as individuals and as a company and as a team, you need to believe in yourself. And you need to believe that you can do it. And what I'm going to show you in terms of GraceKennedy by 2030, I believe that GraceKennedy can do it, and I believe we have the right team to do it. So we came up with this vision. Douglas said to me earlier, Don, read the vision, read the vision. So I'm going to read it. I always follow the boss's instruction. It says, to be the #1 Caribbean brand with Jamaican roots. So you notice now that we have stamped brand Jamaica, so powerful, and a global reach by building on our core pillars of foods and financial services, provide strong returns to our shareholders, and improve the quality of life of our team members, customers, and the communities we serve. We actually engaged Pricewaterhouse International, and it was an exercise that created about 1,000 pages in terms of this vision. And what I'm going to share with you is really the highlights of where we're going. And it's easy to remember. So think about GraceKennedy now. We're a $900 million US company. By 2030, we're going to be a $2.1 billion company. In terms of profits, we're going to be making $250 million by 2030. In terms of market capitalization, but in terms of the geography, 70% of our profits are going to be outside Jamaica and 30% inside Jamaica. And I must emphasize again, we're going to be investing and growing in Jamaica, but we're going to be growing faster outside of Jamaica. And the market cap, we're going to be a company valued at US $1.9 billion. So if you think about it, 2.1 billion in revenue, 250 million in profits, and 1.9 billion in market cap. Now I know half of you are, most like 90% here said, Don, mad. I'm not going to feel bad if you say that, you know. But I believe, and you have to believe in yourself, you have to believe in your team, that we can do it. That we can do it. This is going to be the biggest company in the Caribbean. And I'm going to share some thoughts with you. And it may seem very simple here. We're going to be growing our Grace brand and the Grace own brand. Let us use Walmart as an example, right? There are 5,000 Walmarts in the USA. GraceKennedy is in only 300. So can you imagine, we are very focused in terms of even the West Coast about growing the GraceKennedy brand in the Walmart stores. And you see all the multiples over there that we are in there already. It's just a matter of growing. Colleagues, I was in a meeting with McKinsey, right? This is a top consulting company. And it was a very sobering meeting. The gentleman said to me, Marjorie, Don, digital transformation is not a nice to have. You have to do it for survival. And plans that we had pre-COVID, that was going to last 3 or 4 years, we had to bring it forward. And some of them were achieved in 6 months. Stephen Whittingham is here, our digital factory. But Stephen, you understand and be recognized. So we actually have a digital factory on the Allied Building, Belmont Road, creating all of these apps, primarily by Jamaican youths. Yes, Jamaican people, bright. So this is going to be a big focus. I share with you, Gail, I hope I don't get in trouble, but we have spent over 700 million Jamaican on our digital factory, consultancy, and developing the apps, and there's a lot more in the pipeline. So what you're going to see, there's going to be a transformation of financial services in the GraceKennedy Group, primarily financial services on a digital platform. So when you hold up your phone, you basically can do everything without going into any of the financial companies, and that's what the young people are expecting. So I'm so excited about that. And then when you look at high-low, We have an app for high-low that you don't have to actually, Catherine Kennedy is here. You don't have to actually go in a physical store, but you can go on your phone, order your groceries, and it will be delivered promptly. Right, Miss Kennedy? So we're going to grow the Grace brand and the Grace Own brand, and financial services is going to be transformed on a digital platform. We have been very successful at acquisitions, and Douglas showed a few. The 2014 acquisition of Lafayette was a game changer. You'd notice that Grace, that's the hot pepper sauce manufacturer, we had done backward integration and bought into Grace. And Majesty, very interesting story, is actually our patty factory located in Florida, and is doing exceptionally well. So as we approach 2030, and as Douglas said, we're not making any big bets. We're going to be doing our due diligence, but you're going to be seeing a lot more growth by the GraceKennedy group of companies through acquisitions. The latest one that you have seen is that we bought Scotia in Eastern Caribbean. Then we went and we bought Scotia in the Southern Caribbean. And we are going to be in 14 countries by January with GK Life in the Caribbean. That's a game changer for the GraceKennedy group of companies. And then, of course, we have the two best water brands. When Mr. Photographer, make sure you take the picture, you know. 876 and Catherine Speak, both owned by the GraceKennedy group of companies. So I have no books to sell. I'm not at that stage in life. I can aspire there. But what I do have to sell is two good waters. So acquisition is going to be a big part of the GraceKennedy group strategy. This is so huge, and Ali Matalan is here. She has been doing some work with us and working with NASDAQ. ESG, you know, we used to refer to it as CSR, you know, but it's much deeper than that now. In other words, the comment that McKinsey consultant made to me about digital is a comment that I'll make to all of you in this room about ESG. If you don't have a robust ESG statement and policy and implement it, it's going to be hard for you to survive in the future. It's going to be very hard. So Gail Masalaman is leading it for us, and we have decided to adopt a few of the SDGs, including financial inclusion, climate change. Caroline, our beach project cleanup is a big part of that. Engaging our diverse talent and investing in communities. Investing in communities. And I thought of Jimmy Masalaman a while ago. So, after I became CEO in 2012, one of these hard-hitting journalists, those journalists that got you journalists, got you, young CEO, got you. So he says, Don, what do you want your legacy to be at GraceKennedy? And I was going down the road of talking about strategic planning and that and so. And I'm not sure it's like God spoke to me. And he says, Don, don't go down that road. You'll never win. I said to him, I want my legacy to be that when I leave GraceKennedy, we're helping over 1,000 children from the inner city to be educated. That's what I said. And he was caught so off guard. He said, oh, that's great. No more questions. So I went back to the office. Dr. Weber, and then I announced to my staff that I need 1,000 children to be educated, and we're at 400. So it's aggressive growth. What gets measured gets done. What gets measured gets done. On November 23rd, 2021, I got a call from the head of the Grace and Staff Development Foundation that, Don, we're now at 1,081. And Ambassador, Douglas used to do it and I do it. I go through every result of every student that we're paying for. Every student. And let me tell you something. Those children are so bright. I've seen 8 A's in sciences, 9 A's, children from Southside, who host them at our homework center, getting fantastic results. And I said to myself, I'm so happy because all these children wanted was an opportunity. Somebody to stand by them and help them to get a good education. That's all they want. And GraceKennedy, we have played that role. And I'm so happy about that. So of course, those of you who know me now, the new target is 2,000. Gotta keep going, gotta keep going. And my mother was a teacher for 40 years. Beverly taught with her. Beverly Valentine Carlson's daughter. I'm even more convinced now, and I say it all the time, that education in Jamaica should be a right. A good education in Jamaica should be a right, not a privilege. All right, this is a big one for me. I've been saying this for a number of years. I want to list GraceKennedy on an international stock exchange, on the NASDAQ stock exchange or the New York stock exchange. For you to understand that your dad wasn't thinking about the London Stock Exchange. We have started discussions with investment bankers, and we are on train to get this done by 2030. And this is how I think we're going to truly unlock shareholders' value. You know, I've shared a lot, and I'm getting the wind-up signals. But I could not finish my presentation without speaking about the staff. And that's one advice I have to give any entrepreneur, anybody in here in any leadership position. You can have the greatest strategy in the world. You can be the brightest MBA from wherever. But the greatest asset that you'll have is not on your balance sheet. Not on your balance sheet. The greatest asset that you'll have is your staff. You have to treasure them every day and give them thanks. So when we do an employee engagement survey, where the world best is 65% and GraceKennedy is coming out at 72%, that verified what I was saying. And there's one final advice that I give in terms of guiding a company. There's a strong correlation between employee engagement and profitability. There's a strong correlation between employee engagement and profitability. The point I'm making is that if you want a profitable and successful company, ensure that your employees are engaged.